thinking. All right, everybody, it's 12 o'clock Eastern, and that means it's time for Q&A with Alan and Marshall, except Marshall is not with us. Marshall Atkinson is at the GPX show doing some seminars at GPX Long Beach, so he is out. So, of course, I am incapable of doing this on my own, so I had to bring in some help. Of course, we brought in our almost like our third guy always. We can always depend on Mr. Richard Greaves. How are you doing, Richard?
I'm hanging up the phone on somebody who dared to call me.
Yes, please turn off our phones on there when that happens. So, Richard, you doing okay?
I'm doing terrific. I can't wait to get outside for more lawn work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been gorgeous here in Michigan. So, yeah, we'll give this a little bit of time, see some people. Hopefully they'll come up and see this. It gives it some time. And we have a couple guests with us, Richard, who you just met. I'd like to introduce from McBain, Michigan, B&D Classic Sewn, Deanna Lucas and Andy Lucas. So welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Good. How have you guys been this week?
Fantastic.
Good.
Yeah.
So McBain is way farther north than Richard and I. Richard is outside. He's in Metro Detroit. I'm a little bit north of there, a little bit. And you guys are way farther north in Michigan, up in the booming metropolis of McBain. And
everywhere.
Famous for
what?
If I would have to say anything,
people in our county.
Close to Cadillac.
Yeah.
It's famous for what? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's close to Cadillac. That's what it's famous for.
Yeah.
Right.
Being close to Cadillac. What's the population of McBain?
I don't know, but I do know we have more cows than people in our county.
Yes.
That is a fact.
Yes.
And you're in there now, Andy. You grew up in McBain, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct. Yep.
Deanna, are you and your husband Phil? Are you from the area, or?
My husband was born and raised here. My parents moved here when I was 5, so I've been here relatively my whole life. So
pretty much.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. All right, awesome. And
Andy, when he went to business school, there was no way for him to escape.
Right. Pulled me right back in.
Yeah. And you where did you go to college at, Andy?
I went to Hope College down in Holland, also.
In Holland, Michigan, and Grand Rapids and all that. Great college.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I know I talked to you and your dad when my nephew was looking at college. Hope was one of them he was looking at, and ended up not, but you had great things about it.
Yeah. So. I always say if I had to do it again, I wouldn't do it any different.
Real
so
cool.
That's always a good thing. Mm-hmm.
The great Rick Appleton that worked at Stretch Devices also went to Hope College.
Did he really?
Oh, yep.
I didn't know that, Richard. Cool. Rick Appleton did.
Yes, Rick Appleton. Long member of the Stretch gang in the earliest days, the 1980s.
He did my training at Stretch Devices. So the Newman Stretch Devices is the manufacturer of the Newman roller frames, which you guys use.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard, when I met Richard, that's who he was working for. And at 19 years old, 20 years old, showed me how to do a roller frame.
Very cool.
And when I worked for a company, when we were a Newman roller frame distributor, it used to be you had to go to Newman School in Philadelphia. And that's 3 days in Philadelphia of learning about Newman roller frames. And Rick Appleton was our instructor. So Rick was famous for
part of training. Ralph's for dinner on Thursday
Ralph's
night.
Italian restaurant for dinner is the first place I ever had escargot at. It was incredible. Rick Appleton, famous for, he always had a different color of Converse Chucks on every day, a different color. I remember one time we were in a sales meeting and we actually called him one time to see what color he had on. He was actually in a meeting and stuff. We said it's kind of emergency. They got him. He goes, guys, what's wrong? We said, you're on speakerphone. He goes, what's the problem? We just have a bet of what color chucks you have on. It was pretty funny, but that's my Rick Appleton story. Great guy, but I did not know all the way he went to Hope College. And where's Rick from? He's from out west, correct?
I actually have to say I don't remember where he's actually from, but he's lived in Oakland, California since he left Stretch Devices. He went out to work for Riley Hopkins.
Yeah.
Let's return to Michigan and fabulous McDane, Michigan.
Yeah, well, wonderful. All right. Well, let's move on with the show there. So, guys, this is all about you. I love highlighting companies and printers, and I've always been fascinated, since we first met, probably around 2014, 15, became great, associates in the industry, love seeing you at shows. But the story you guys have about your company has been incredible to me, and that's why I asked you to be on. So can you give us the B&D Classic Sewn story?
Sure. Andy, would you like me to start it?
It's mostly your story, so yeah, you might as well.
You were there.
I was.
In 1992, my mom and I were walking downtown Cadillac, and there was a store called Julianne Fabrics. They sold sewing machines, and we were walking past, and they had a small Melco commercial embroidery machine in the window. And my mom said, "I've always wanted one of those. It'd be so cool." I said, "Well, why don't you buy it, Mom, and we'll go to business together." And so we walked in and we looked at it, and that machine was $5,000, and we bought it. We walked down to the local party bar and had a bowl of chili. We split an order of onion rings, and we had a Bud Light, and we celebrated that we had started our business that day, December 7th, 1992. We came home, and I had just been married for 6 months to my husband, Phil, who's part of this now, and told him and my dad what we had done, and they laughed at us, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are ridiculous." So from then on, though, every 6 months we had to do something. We either had to buy another machine because we couldn't keep up, and so we just did embroidery for the first, I think, 8 years. So, and we built our building 7 years after that. In 1999, we built the building that we're in now. And since then, we've grown, and we've added on probably about 6 times. We now have 10 full-time employees plus the 2 of us. My husband has been with us now for the last, I'm going to say 16 years. He's worked here full-time.
Hold on. We got to love it. Went from laughing at you guys to now he works for you guys.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So at the time when he came on board with us, we did embroidery only. We offered screen printing, but we farmed it all out. A lot of our customers wanted embroidery and also screen printing, and so we had someone who did our printing for us. Well, we all know when someone else does your printing or your work, you can't control lots of things: timing, price, quality, all of the above. So we were frustrated one night. My mom and I were like, we can't get this job done in time. And so what are we going to do? And Phil came home from work. He sold John Deere farm machinery, and he came home very frustrated. He was a salesman, and he was frustrated with the service department. And he kind of said his little problems that he was having at work, and he left. And my mom looked at me and she said, we should buy a screen printing machine, and Phil should quit his job, and he should do our screen printing, and it would solve both of our problems. And we kind of laughed at it. So I went home that night and told Phil, and he's like, we should do that. So the next week, it just so happened there was a show in Indianapolis.
Yep.
And we went there, and that's when we met Sid from
T&J.
From T&J. Yep. And we ended up buying a fully automatic screen printing machine that we still have, our Diamondback. And we ran it in our garage that summer because the builders couldn't get our addition done soon enough. And we've never looked back from that moment. So yeah, that's just.
What year was that you bought the automatic screen printing machine?
16 years ago. So it had to have been in.
I think it was 09. Was it 08 or 09?
Okay, yeah.
It was 09. Yeah, it would have. Yes. I believe it was in 08 because the economy was taking a turn, and we were busier than ever, which is odd. And So yeah, that's when we started doing our own screen printing. And prior to that, though, we had gotten into the direct to garment business as well. So
what direct to garment machine did you have?
we had should have done my homework before today. Coldesi.
The Coldesi one. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Had 3 of them. They were white. It was right when they first started. So I know direct to garment very well because I lived through all of the struggles of all the struggles of it and how you So and then up until 2 years ago, we still had direct to garment.
Right.
Changed brands once, and now we do all direct to film. So we have our own direct to film printer. And we do our own screen printing and our own embroidery. And then we also have a wide format printer where we print a few things. But most of the time we are farming that out because we've found a really good source, a really good partner in that. And Andy kind of was doing that all himself. So
in the story, Andy, when did you get dragged in? So you're growing up and you're seeing this and all that.
Yeah.
And
Let me
from a young age, you said, "Mom, I want to be in."
No, he didn't.
No, not so much.
Go ahead. Give us that.
And I'll let Andy tell his part. So when my kids grew up with me, with us doing this, having a mom that did this I was doing this for 3 years before we even had Andy. And so when we grew up playing in the yard next to the shop, we built this shop next to our home. And so he was with me all the time, and we weren't as busy then as we are now. But I never thought that he ever had an interest in it. And then when he went off to college, he has a very math brain, very analytical, and he was going to be an engineer. And so he went to college at Hope College. And now I'll let you tell your story, Andy.
And
first of all, before you start, how many kids do you have? It's not just Andy. You have
2 sons. Yep. Andy is our oldest. And then we have another son, Austin, who is my farming child.
So he's a statistic in McBain. He is a farmer.
Okay.
He drives really big tractors and plants. Yeah, he drives huge machinery, and he's a huge asset to a very large local farm here. So, but he has interest in B&D. That I know of.
Go ahead, Andy.
And so I was on track for an engineering course at Hope College. And I'm also very much a people person. I like to mingle, chat, talk, and that wasn't the vibe that I was getting with a lot of my co-students. Everybody was more, just quiet, reserved. And so I was kind of battling through that a little bit. And I said, maybe this isn't the direction that I want to go. And I guess it just came to me one day, and I thought, grandma's probably going to want to retire soon, and she can't just step away without somebody stepping into her shoes. Right. So then I came home from college, and I kind of pitched the idea to Mom, and I don't know if I was maybe I think the trend here is being laughed at. I don't think I was laughed at, because Dad laughed at you when you bought the machine and all these different things. And I guess since there, we just never looked back. I switched to a business track, and we had one agreement was that I needed to finish school in order to come back.
Very good.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, we got a comment.
He also had to work with me for a year to make sure that we still had a mother-son relationship at the end of the day.
Very good.
Yeah. Yep. And they didn't laugh, and we welcomed it, and he brings a whole new spin to our business. We have grown immensely since he's come on board, and so it's been a really good fit for us.
Well, let's say hi. Brian Bufka's here from Missouri. Brian, always good. And Brian has a comment. He said farmers have to be outstanding in their field. There's a pun there, but
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would agree with what your last comment with Andy coming on, having a window seat of watching B&D since Andy's come on, of the growth and stuff and the direction that you've had. So thank you for sharing that story on there. Anything else on the story you want to add?
Oh, goodness.
So how about now? Now you have How many automatics in screen printing?
3 autos.
3 autos, gas
3 from
dryer.
M&R. Yep. And then we just upgraded to a sprint dryer last year.
Yep. A Dowfit wax jet.
Yep. A wax jet.
Ah.
And I guess that's all in our screen printing room.
Yep. No auto coder, no auto reclaim.
Nope. Not at this point. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me write that down.
Yeah, right.
What is that point? No, no problem. Well, awesome on there. Now you've added on, and you're now not just doing it, you're doing fulfillment too, correct?
We are, yep. Mostly just for one of our accounts, and it's a fun story with them too, because we started with them in 2018 when they started, and just like everybody else's story is, they were small. It was maybe 1 to 2 orders a month, and now it's 400 to 500 a month. So it's just really, really awesome to see your customers grow as well.
Well, let's take this time to pivot into that. You have always, since I've known B&D, you have always had seemed like multiple revenue streams. You know, you were embroidery and DTG and screen, and then went to wide format, and then, okay, no more DTG, we're going to DTF.
Yep.
And then, you know, you do the addition of the building, and then almost immediately you do another addition to a building. Again. And then another one for fulfillment. You have always had multiple revenue streams. Is that by design, or is that it just happened that way?
I think it can be equated to, we don't like to say no, which can be as much of a curse as it is a blessing. But because of that, it's gotten us into these different decoration techniques and revenue streams. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Richard, what have you found, like with companies having multiple revenue streams? I know there are some people that are just contract printers and some people that are just embroiderers. What are your thoughts, Richard, on that?
Well, it also depends on where your market is. That in McBain, even though now, as you've explained to me, you've got nationwide clients, but typically one tail wags the dog, or one is the tail that is just the tail of the dog. It's not the full real profit center. So a lot of it is that if you don't do embroidery, you wouldn't get the other accounts, or vice versa. That it's a neighborhood, even if it's all over the country, that you have your clients and the products work together. So that's what Add Specialty is all about. It's all promotional products, but I think that we're in a special place with wearables because it's different than a pen. You know, I've got a pen, but this doesn't have as much personality as the feel of a shirt, the look of a shirt. It's a good pen or it's a bad pen. So advertising is boring, but branding yourself as a member of the Ford Motor Company because you like Shelby Cobras or you like skiing or something like that, that's much more of something that people can wrap their arms around. And I think your product needs to do something for the client, the third person in the realm, not you, the maker, you guys, B&D, not the person who buys it, but the person who actually uses the product. That's your real target outcome.
What do you guys think? So on that, what would you say if someone says, I think of B&D, do you think it's all inclusive, or do you think, no, they're primary embroidery? What have you found in your client base, and how has that changed?
Oh, definitely now people come to us, and it's rare for us to do just embroidery for them or just screen printing. Most of our customers, we're doing all of the above. And so it's really nice that we have that relationship that we can share that, hey, we do it all in-house, or the majority of it in-house. So that really does mean something to people. So I think when they think of B&D, we're their decorator as a whole for all of their needs, wants.
Are your customer base, is that mostly contract work? Is it custom work? Is it business to business, or is it all across the board?
I think it's probably all across the board. However, mostly business to business.
Okay.
I'm going to say probably in the world of 70%.
Ah, all right.
With the remaining 15% being contract, and then the rest just being miscellaneous stuff here and there.
Awesome. What when you've looked at different revenue streams, what is the one that you've looked at and go, okay, we're going to try this, and it just all of a sudden was bigger than you thought it would be, a better one? Or is there one that you're going, this is a good idea, okay, it's not working so well, or there's a better way, or it in the time it was good and not so much now?
Direct to garment comes to mind for sure. Just, and I think mostly probably in the way of processes, when you had to the pre-treat, only being able stuck to certain types of garments. Direct to film just opened so many doors for everyone.
I would say to anyone today that's watching this, if they're doing direct to garment, do yourself a favor, sell that machine, buy yourself a DTF printer, and you will never ever
Look back.
Yeah.
Yep.
How much research did you do when looking? Now you have a DTF machine, or are you buying the DTF prints from someone?
We have the machine, so we're printing them ourselves. But we did buy transfers for a short time to see if we liked it before we got rid of the direct to garment printer. And then I was like, this is easy. This is garments on every job. Yeah. So anybody that does the direct to garment printing, it's just there's a huge margin of error because of the machine. Oh, it just put black ink on this white shirt, and I'm not gonna be able to get it out, and it just for no reason. And that happened time and time and time again. So anybody that does that, I know, feels the pain of what I'm saying. So definitely that was a huge profit center, buying a DTF machine.
How much of your business is DTF now? Do you think that has changed your business? It's a real market. I know it's a piece of the pie from not just DTG, but also on smaller orders that would have been screened, and that's okay. What are you guys seeing?
Say 10-15%, Andy?
Yeah, I was thinking 20. So along with the DTG that it replaced, it also allows print on demand to be a lot more efficient and effective when you can just print films to fulfill orders of shirts that you stock, and then they can ship out faster. Just much more simplified.
Have you found your clients have had an issue with any of the feel and the change and stuff? And this is the thing, and Richard, jump in here. A lot of the things with DTF I'm hearing is people are going, I don't like the feel, and that's an industry thing. Well, it's not screen printing. It's not DTG. It's the feel. It's the feel. It's the feel. From somebody that's using that, how big of an issue or a factor is that, or is it not at all?
I'm going to say it's really minimal. Most people can tell the difference.
Yep, for sure.
But you get better at it. When we first started doing it, we weren't that good at it, so it did feel different, I'll be honest. So you live and you learn on what you can, what will print well, direct to film, and what we're like, no, we're going to have to screen print that because we're not going to get the look and the feel that we want. So it just depends on the job.
Can you elaborate on a job or something that it wouldn't work well on?
Andy?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, well, just something that has a lot of color, because a direct to film transfer has to have a full white ink behind it.
Right.
If it's really thick and it's a big blob, a big design that say an American flag that's really large.
Yep. That's like a full chest.
That's just a full chest. It's maybe just too much.
Like
Richard's cake. Yeah. Yeah.
However, if it is a distressed American flag where it's not solid ink, it's not so heavy. So just knowing the difference between those two is what we would offer. Maybe a heavily distressed design is better for a direct to film transfer. It prints beautifully. So I would probably, and customers don't know the difference. So when we're doing art, we maybe would come up with a design when we know they only want 10 shirts. and we know we're going to print them direct to film. We're not going to screen print them. We would just
Right.
do art that would look good without having a big, thick blob of ink, if that makes sense.
It does. It
Mhm.
does. Richard, anything to add? Or question?
I've been convinced on using transfers, even screen printed transfers, for as long as I've been a screen printer. That takes me back to the 1980s, and that is that a left front chest for Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, or Marco's Pizza is the last one that I actually worked on, and that it really doesn't matter. But the idea of setting up 3 screens to print, no matter how many shirts, and I know I'm going to have to do them over and over and over again. It's the setup I don't like.
Mhm.
It's the setup, and as much as I'm known as a screen person, no making of screens, no water, no washout, no reclaim, etc., etc. All that's eliminated with digital. And so if this Pepsi-Cola logo on my chest, left front chest, is 4x4 and it's kind of filmy, it's a uniform. It's going to get washed twice a week at least while you wear it, if not more.
Yeah.
It's gonna endure. Properly used, it's absolutely the solution for the last 40 years.
And
Digital
so
is better though, easier.
on that, just to people that are listening, this is a Q&A and live. If you have questions, a comment, would love to hear on your thoughts on this, what you're doing in your shop. If you have questions for Andy and Deanna, please put them up and we'll go from there. All right.
One thing that came to my mind talking about how good transfers are, they'll never replace screen printing though. It's great if you've got a job of 30 or 40 shirts to do left chest, maybe even 100. But when we're running a job of 1,000 shirts, it can't replace screen printing. So
yeah, absolutely. Just because of the size
yes,
of the job, 100% there. And I think that's what, I've heard, Richard, you're probably the same way. When I hear the cringe phrase of this is going to overtake screen printing. And I'm like, I have heard that for the last 37 years, as long as I've been in the industry, and nothing has. It's like, no, there is a place, there is a market.
Yep.
But is it going to 100% overtake screen printing? No.
Andy will understand this better than anyone else on the panel because
Yeah.
he went to business school.
Right.
And that is that there's a break-even point. There's a what is your return? So what are you losing from make ready? Notice I almost used the word set up. I'm trying to change the word. Ask me about that later, Alan.
All right.
When you're making up the printing press and it takes 15 minutes to set up the press, there's a real time for that. And then how long does it take to actually print the entire job? There's a break-even point of where's the profit level end with directed to film, and where is the screen printing take over? And typically it doesn't take much more than about 20 or 40 prints when, screen printing, we'd actually make more money because of the extra cost of that unit of one. In fact, we're printing one at a time, and it costs a lot of money for the equipment.
Do you think, Richard, most people know where that break-even point is? Andy, Deanna, any idea or thoughts? Or
I'm taking everything I own, all the money I have, everything you own, Alan, putting it on the table and saying, no, nobody knows.
Exactly.
Oh, it's a discussion Andy and I have on almost every job, Andy, right?
Yep.
Say that again, please. Deanna, what did you just say? Can you repeat that?
Andy and I have almost on every job. We take an order, probably, I'm going to say 6 orders a day. We discuss, hey, does this make more sense to do a film or do we screen print it? And so Andy's running those numbers every day, multiple times.
Numbers ran in my head, I guess, right?
Okay.
Because we also have to look at the non-tangibles as far as, okay, what's our lead time on screen print? Is film going to get to this faster? Is screen print going to get to this faster? Who's off because they're sick this week? So there's just so many things that are hard to even put numbers to when it comes into that decision.
And I want to reiterate that what you said, the intangibles, and that is artwork, the layout, making the screen, all that prep, the make ready in the screen department, and then all the reclaiming, the tear down, the cleanup of the coating equipment that you had to coat the screens, the cleanup of the squeegees. Andy, how do you like that? Did you like cleaning squeegees?
I don't know that I've ever cleaned a squeegee, but I can tell you that I wouldn't like it.
Oh,
Oh, he's one of them. So
Yeah.
I'm going to come up there and
Yeah.
we're going to spend some time in the screen room.
Yeah, I can do it. I could do it. I could spray it with
This
the
is how
Easy
we
Way
get-
501
Your mother.
or what?
This is how I get an auto reclaim in there. Here, Andy,
Right.
reclaim screens for a day. All right, we're
I
out.
reclaimed
Not doing this.
my fair share of screens, but never washed a squeegee.
But I like what you were saying on there. It's all about the labor of the intangibles, because even on DTF, there is a separate room for that, and you guys have done it great. You have made it environmentally controlled, which most people, it still drives me nuts that they don't. You have that. You have someone that's in there working that. And if they're not there or someone else can't get to it, that's a factor.
Right.
That's an intangible you got to look at.
For sure.
So great. So Andy, I mean, you're a numbers guy, and I've known this about you. Any idea where that break-even point is for you guys? Because it's different for every.
It is, and I would say it's even different per job and print location too, because there's jobs where we will use both methods on the
Absolutely.
same shirt. And we actually just had this conversation coming up the other day, and we're gonna do a combo decoration and do film on part of it and screen print on the other part, just because it makes sense.
And I just put up, Brian Bufka says we've changed all sleeve prints to DTF in our shop, especially on multicolor prints, which that makes sense. Have your automatic printing doing what it does best.
And the great Brian is another fellow that has stuck his flag in the middle of Missouri where no one knows where he is.
Yeah, he is in Pacific. Brian is at Pacific, Missouri. You're at, I believe.
No one's heard of it, Alan. I don't know why we bother mentioning the name.
I don't even, but I just because I've known that. So yeah.
But he's carved out a huge thing with schools. He controls that market in many ways, and he's really focused on that.
That's
So
really cool.
Brian's got a great system going.
Do you guys do schools at all, Andy?
Yeah, quite a few. Probably the 12 schools within driving distance of us. Yeah.
What would be considered driving distance of McBain? A block?
45 miles, maybe.
How many miles?
45, 50 miles. Maybe some even a little farther than that.
Yeah. So almost 35, 40 minutes away, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Unless there's a combine going down the road, slows you down.
Right. There's a lot of that. A lot of tractor traffic.
These cows got out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I will say I make fun of it, but I do love it up there. It's incredible from there. Here's where Brian says he's in Montgomery City, an hour from the outskirts of St. Louis. So, yeah, kind of the same rural area.
Very cool. Yeah.
From there. Well, wonderful. Good. Let's continue on in one thing. I've watched you all move not just in multiple streams. Well, let's talk about one other thing, Andy, what you've done. And this will pivot us into this, the use of technology and willingness to shift and update. So when you first came on, I think one of the first things you did, you realized was there was a need and you found a market for wide format. Correct?
Yes, we did. There was a shop local to us who the owner had passed away, and they kind of quit doing it. So there was a unfilled need, I guess, in our area. Right.
And so you bought a Roland, and for a long time that was busy. That was good work for you.
When I first started and before I had a full book of clients to work with, it was, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 days a week, probably. I was either off on the road measuring trucks, installing vinyl, doing sign work, all that sort of stuff.
That doing that installation, that's a tough deal always.
Yeah.
But now, what are you doing in that space?
And now we farm, I'm going to say 90% of that out, just because of time restraints. We can get it done much, much faster for equal cost, and it just makes a lot of sense for us.
Absolutely.
And his client base has grown ever since he came on board. Anybody new, I would say, oh yeah, our contact information is Andy Lucas, bdc@gmail.com. So I
Right.
direct all new customers for the past 7 years to Andy because my plate was full. And so now, and people love working with him. Yeah. Our new people are very happy to be able to work with Andy.
There might be a little bit of a mom bias there. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
So yeah. Well, great. So technology, you guys, Andy, I know you're probably driving a lot of this. You're always, it seems like B&D is always looking at what's new, what's the new markets. What is that always been true, or is that since Andy's come on? Or give me the story and what you all think of that.
I'll take credit for it up until Andy came on. I mean, we always, you have to be willing to change. The times change, processes change. You have to be willing.
Hold on. In the apparel decorating, willing to change? Does that happen, Richard?
One wouldn't think so, however. But yeah, Andy loves to invite new things and new technology. And so my brain is still able to learn new, but I don't know for how long. But
What was it when you came on, Andy? What was the first thing that you're seeing technology you're going, we need to incorporate?
I think online stores were maybe one of the first things, because that was been 7 years now. So I don't know. They've probably been around a lot longer than that. But that was one thing that I noticed. There was even in our shop at that time, transitioning from paper order forms and the easily made mistakes with all of that, just due to human error.
Right.
Really, online stores eliminated all of that. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask what platform you're using for your online stores?
We use Inksoft now.
Okay.
We started with Order My Gear, and when we started with them, they were really, really new.
Right.
And I just liked the features that Inksoft had to offer, and we switched to them and have not looked back. And at this point, we're way too invested to even consider anybody a different source.
And it's the whole Inktovo thing now, correct?
Yes. We are not subscribers with the rest of their services, just the Inksoft.
Just the Inksoft part.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We looked into it and it didn't fit our business model.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of your business is online stores?
Oh.
Half, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, where's your farthest client from? I mean, you've done work for all over the country, correct?
Yeah. Processed a big order this morning that's going to Illinois, which isn't that far away. But I would think one of our most consistent online customers from far away would be Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah. And in a similar situation to how you met us, they have a cottage in, it might even be out by Gladwin area.
Okay.
And he works down in Alabama. And yeah. So just touring Northern Michigan.
Yeah.
Found our shop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think I found you guys not because I was close to there. I had, our cottage, our family cottage is in Lake Ogum over by West Branch. But I remember as a kid being around Gladwin, and when I first moved back, I was around there just seeing what business was there, and literally just cold calling and prospecting.
Right.
And so, I think as someone, I had this conversation with a new rep for a supplier, and he goes, how long do you keep cold calling? I said, as a distributor, always. It never stops. You never stop cold calling. You never stop hunting and prospecting for business. No matter what industry or side that you're in.
Yeah.
So what is your guys' so in technology, what do you think the best things B&D's done technology wise has been? Or your biggest shift that you
I don't know about a biggest shift if there's ever been one huge thing, but I would say constant changes and upgrading.
Yeah.
The wax jet, I would think, was a big upgrade.
Yeah.
Once we got through the 6-month artwork fiasco, it was both of us. But it's a game changer.
And you reached out, of course, Mark Deal from Delphin, friends of ours. He put you in touch with Ray Markey from Everett.
Yes.
Down in,
Big shout out to Ray for helping us out. Yeah.
Ray has been on the show, and we all know him. And that's what this, hopefully that this show does. And that's what I know. Marshall started with Shirt Lab Tribe. Brian's a part of it, and people that were helping other people in the industry. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That was a big step for you. I remember that. That was a very big step.
It was
for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think in that first 6 months, did you have some ideas of going, oh my gosh?
I just wanted to retire early.
Yeah.
No, she wanted to send the machine back and said, why can't I just print films?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing I liked about it was Mark. He's just a really great guy. He's like, I promise in 6 months you will like it. And he was right. He was right.
Yeah.
We just had to get through that.
And when we went and toured Ray's shop and he gave us a little tutorial on artwork, he said, once you figure this out, you'll forget how to print films. He said, it's just not that you'll want to, but you just won't use it because it's so.
And it's saves so much money, time. Our screen team loves it. It's so much easier.
Let alone the other side of it, registration, print quality. It's all way increased because of that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now you have just recently, you were telling Richard and I, you just recently invested in another technology. And what would that be?
We don't remember.
Well, I didn't know if Deanna was going to take this one because she's got the sample. We just got a laser bridge for our Tajima single head embroidery machine to do applique, some patchwork, and different methods, new techniques, new decoration for the mostly branded to the retail resort segment that we work with,
which is big up there.
It is, yes. And so we have a sample. So this is one of the things Andy was like, let's buy a really nice new sweatshirt and do a sample and show our customers what we can offer. So this is done in one hooping where Andy digitized it, and it does the laser cut and then the embroidery outline. And then we also did patch. I don't know if you can see a leatherette patch. It cuts it. Yes. And then we did embroidery right on top of that. So just a really neat look. So the possibilities are endless. So we're having a lot of fun with this new machine. Add on to one of our embroidery machines.
So you created the patch yourself then?
Yes.
Another patch.
Yes.
Interesting. So to go on a sweatshirt, you could do it for hats, do it for anything.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
Is it a laser patch?
The patch is cut by the laser, but it's embroidered through the applique.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Interesting. And how new is that? You literally have just got in, just kind of started.
I think the machine came in April.
Oh.
Or March, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And then we had to get new software and learn how to use it, and so it was a little learning curve, just like everything.
We're just figuring it out now, about 3 months later.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you're ready to bring it to market now?
Yes. Yep. Those samples actually finished yesterday.
Wonderful. Good. Yeah. So we got the scope on that one.
Yeah.
Now, like for applique and patches, is that a big part? Do you guys do a lot of patches and applique?
Oh yes, we do. Mm-hmm. Yep. We don't do most of the patches. We order them finished because we do such a huge volume of them. But we apply them in-house, and sometimes they're heat applied, sometimes they're embroidered directly on the garment. So it just depends. But this is just another little niche of something that we can do with that machine. It's a single head, so we're not going to do high volume with it at this time.
Right. Do you have one source for patches, or do you use multiple sources?
Mm-hmm.
Just depends on the type of patch.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. What else technology? Now I've watched you guys go from one automatic to three. You're running 3 automatics now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Phil is the production manager. You have a great team back there.
Oh, we do.
Yes. Fantastic team. Yeah.
We went from being the only screen printer to now he has 3 girls that screen print, and he's just pretty much just running the show, trying to keep our customers happy and get the jobs done on time. And he does a phenomenal job at it.
He does.
Yes.
And Richard, he started off with stretch and glue frames, but is now using roller frames. You guys got some roller frames and really likes it on there. He's found out, tension is everything, which, you and I preach, Richard. So great. How's now being farther up in Michigan, do you ever have any issues of sourcing of supplies of materials? Any issues with that, even through COVID?
A little bit.
Now, hold on. I heard people had trouble getting Richardson hats during COVID. Did you guys have any trouble with that?
There's a story there.
There is a story there.
Uh-huh.
You should tell it because
I maybe should tell the story. So yes, it was hard to get Richardson hats, the 112, America's number one selling hat, right? We couldn't get them, and the back order dates were 6 months, 8 months out. So I said to Andy, well, we're not going to go out of business in 6 to 8 months. We probably should order hats now. So I don't know, at one time we probably had over 6,000 hats.
Yeah, we were ordering in batches of 5,000 to 6,000 just to get them in 6 months to have them.
Yeah.
And at that same time, Richardson was going to have fewer dealers, and thankfully we chose to put our so anyway, we are a large supplier of Richardson hats. If anyone needs any,
probably have them.
Now they're boasting.
What was that, Richard? Go ahead.
Now they're boasting.
Well, and it was funny because I knew this, and then I'm hearing people going, I cannot get Richardson hats. And I thought, well, yeah, they're all being hoarded up in McBain.
We got a shed full of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm going to pass the word. I know a guy.
Yeah, that was it. I know a guy.
And it actually, we weren't intending to stock them forever, but our customers love that they can come in and see all the colors and get them quick, and we get better rates on shipping when we order multiple boxes at a time. So it makes sense for us now. It's our new business model, I guess, with 112s.
Not a bad thing.
For sure.
Not a bad thing.
The struggle was figuring out how to keep track of what we had. So Google Sheets came in handy there.
Okay. So are you still doing inventory with fulfillment and stuff with Google Sheets, or how are you doing all that?
Stores where Inksoft is able to handle that with that fulfillment. But we use Google Sheets for our in-house inventory, mostly for just 112s. We don't really inventory anything else.
Let's throw the question out here. All right, you guys have moved technology all over the place. You're always willing to change. What is the one thing you're going, I wish we had, or I wish we could do this, or there was a solution for this? Is there anything you guys, as you're talking, going, wow?
Well, one thing, where we live, we're rural, and so there's not a lot of people that live around here. So one thing that we've done a lot of research and that we're working really hard on is our employee retention. Our employees are the reason that we are successful. We cannot print the shirts. I ran an embroidery machine. It's the first time, and today I had to embroider something. I messed up one thing, and because I just don't do that every day. But so our employees are so valuable to us, and so we are doing as many things as we can to try to keep them. So that's probably the window. I don't know if many people do a lot of research. I know that I have a couple friends that have embroidery shops, and they have trouble keeping employees. So that's just one avenue that it's been a big issue. How do we keep our people? And so there's some numerous things that Andy and I have chosen to invest in. So we've chosen to invest into our employees. And one gal we've had, she's been here this year 21 years. So not everyone has been here that long, but I think that's probably a struggle in the embroidery screen printing business is employees retention.
I would agree. Richard, you've run shops and you've had key people with you. What are your thoughts?
I know that clients that I've worked with have always been afraid of training as well as I would have liked. They're afraid that once I train Susie how to do this particular job, she'll go find another job. I immediately say to them, well, why would she want to leave?
Right.
And so that's a big part of it, that if you're going to invest in your employees, which they are who do the work,
Yeah.
And that owners are merely an HR department that creates workers that do the work. And the idea that they would leave you, why would anybody leave you? And if there is that answer, there you have one of your answers. They don't like the conditions. They don't like the way you treated them. They don't like something or other. Take a list of everybody who quit you or went to another job in the past. Have you done anything to get rid of those problems? But of course, there's the flip side of that, and that is training them so that the company will grow. Because if you two, Andy and Deanna, if you can't take a day off, if you can't leave, if you can't grow the business because you're working in the business, granted today you ran an embroidery machine, but even so, why did you have to do that? Because you should be doing management time, not maker time. And that you need to make makers that specialize and they can go to town.
And
Jet fuel, Alan?
have you guys done that? Like you're able, I know I've seen you guys at trade shows at Printing United and different trade shows and stuff. How's the shop run and how's that work? I'm sure you know, is that an issue or are you always going, oh my gosh, I hope things keep going?
Andy?
We're able to get away. I wish that we could find some extra help in our art department because it's the two of us, but I am personally so fussy with art that I have a hard time, and it's not even a control thing because it's not even a little bit. I'm just so particular. But our shop as a whole just functions, and everybody is amazing at their job.
So so for you guys, like it would be, you would never go to a graphic source or Subs.io or anything like that.
And it's not even the separation end of it. It's probably somebody comes in with a notepad and says, I want this on my t-shirt. Well, we got to get that somehow, onto a screen. And that's the trouble part of it. The creation. Correct. Yep.
Have you, how much AI are you guys using now?
Actually quite a bit now. Marshall, his Mid-Journey newsletter.
You are part of that. Okay.
I am. And I read it every week, and I actually created a design. If I was at my desk, I'd show you a picture of it. You just got to know how to use it, and Marshall's doing a good job of helping people sort through that.
Wonderful. Does that help just getting you to your spots in art just quicker and stuff?
Quicker, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You kind of got to have an idea of what you want before you go into it. Otherwise, you don't know what you're going to get. But it's been awesome.
We want to say hi to Chris out of Alberta, Canada, who just joined us. So been a while. So Hurley, how you doing? Well, awesome.
Another guy in a non-metropolitan area.
Another non-metropolitan area.
Nice.
And you know what? You don't have to be, Richard. It used to be back in the day, people would say, and I'm sorry, not Alberta. I just got corrected again. Saskatchewan. Better.
Even farther away.
Yes, even more remote. But, while we live in a big world, just the time we live in, the world is smaller now. And your market is everywhere.
For sure.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, as you're specializing, and not even so much specializing, like Chris in Saskatchewan, he is known for, if you've seen stuff, he does a lot of 3D printing, whether it be high density, he does transfers of silicone, stuff like that. And so even out of Saskatchewan, people know him and stuff. And, Brian's there out of Missouri in a very, a more rural area. So that's part of the reason why I wanted you all on the show is, man, going, okay, it doesn't matter. You've never let where you're located be a deterrent. Have there been times where it's a deterrent, you think, at all?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
Richard, how's that changed from the 80s, you think, or has it at all?
I think that there's people everywhere. When you think of the shops that I've run, Hickory, North Carolina, Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, not exactly big name locales.
True.
Here there's a big town a ways away. There's an airport an hour away. But there's some people that need work everywhere, and UPS delivers everywhere. So I don't see that as a problem at all.
Chris says 100%.
Yep.
So great. Well, last thing, and we've talked about it a little bit. You do online stores. What kind of marketing? What are you seeing in marketing in the future now? What did you do? Where's your marketing at now? What do you see in the future?
Well, we have done some marketing things. I mean,
That's true.
yes, one of our, we buy a lot from Sanmar. They're a great partner. They're awesome, and they have a marketing program. And so we decided, at the end of the year, you get some marketing funds. And so a couple years ago, Andy, it was right after COVID.
Right after COVID, yeah.
Yes, we took all those marketing funds and bought some beautiful Travis Matthew polos and hats, and brought them in house, decorated them, had all within probably a 200-mile radius of here. We had all these designs digitized and sent them to all these golf courses, and that's what we chose to do for marketing. And at the time, then Travis Matthew, was right after COVID, and they didn't have any products, so people wanted to order things. But we've gotten so many new customers because of doing a program like that. So a lot of our partners that we buy from have marketing programs. So when we vested into those, and it's definitely had a huge return.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing Chris says, for him, shipping costs are the only deterrent that I'm finding with long distance customers.
Yes.
And, yeah. Great thing.
Yeah.
How much is word of mouth still playing for you guys?
A lot.
Yeah. New customers all the time, which is great.
Yeah. And I know. What's the one client that you've gotten that you've been surprised going, how did they find us? Do you ask people, how did you find us? What's the story? Well, I guess the guy from Alabama, he's up there on vacation.
Yeah. I do often ask because I am curious. But usually it's they know somebody, or they ordered something through a school, and then just kind of how it happens. You never know who your gatekeeper is going to be.
Exactly. Colette from Florida, she said, not just shipping costs, but time as well. We're in Southwest Florida, and it's a 2-day to any other state, 6 to California.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It is. But I guess that shows that comes down to the quicker you can produce it, the quicker you have goods and can produce it, the faster the customer gets it.
Right.
Because I think the client doesn't care. I just need it on this date. Am I going to get it on this date?
Right.
And I would, that would come down to going, what are their expectations? It's managing expectations.
Sure.
So great. Well, we have a few minutes to go. A couple things we need to mention. One, we don't want to forget Shirt Lab Nashville. And this is something Shirt Lab's putting on, Marshall, Allie Bandholzer and stuff. This is a complete artwork deal where it's Dot Tone Dan, Marshall, and I forget who else, Richard. It's all about AI and creating artwork. So Andy, you guys may want to take a look at this. Have you seen it already, the information? But it's coming up at the end of June, or is it July? I forget. But take a look at that. It's always a great event. You're going to be there, you said, Richard?
I'll be there. And it's a smaller group. It's specifically about art.
Yep.
So it's not a general purpose thing like so many of the Shirt Lab Live events have been.
Yep. So we told Marshall we'd do that. Marshall, of course, is at GPX speaking. B&D, this is your website, gologoit.com. And if anybody wants to reach out, are they able to just reach out to you at any time if they have questions?
Absolutely, for sure.
Awesome. And this is Andy's email account. If you want to just chat, converse, network. And I know you all have been great, like at shows, of wanting to meet people and see people and hear what everybody's doing. And
we're going to Long Beach in January. So that's
all right. We'll be there.
Yeah.
That's the show. So you know what, Richard? I hadn't done this in a year. I did it in 2016. We might have to have a Michigan meetup dinner.
That would be great.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
The odds of me being near McBain in the next 2 years are pretty weak, although I've got to go to Midland to go see Josiah.
Right there.
Right.
So yeah.
We probably got a better chance to connect in California then, right?
Well, Alex, my boss, lives in Howell, Michigan. I see him everywhere except Michigan.
Right.
Yep. And Richard, Mr. Greaves, you are available by phone, by email if you need anything and you wanted some time. So this is yours.
I have the library that you're not using. So if you want something to read, you need a reading list, you want to study something, I have the biggest library in the industry. Call.
Awesome. So Richard, one thing, tell me about the flag cake story.
I'm glad you asked.
What
Today
did
is
you was
Flag Day.
behind that? So
Today is Flag Day. And when I started in screen printing, I went to work at Eder Manufacturing. A family friend pulled me in when I didn't want to work in landscape architecture anymore. And I joined
the
in
circus.
February, and I then realized that if you if you had a birthday, you were supposed to bring a birthday cake. And I did not know this. And when my birthday came around, and I said, "Oh, it's my birthday," and somebody told me. And so later that year, I made Flag Day because we were a flag printer, large screens, large screen washing out systems. But every year that I worked at Eder Manufacturing, Flag Day's always been a special day for me because it commemorates my starting in the screen printing industry. So happy Flag Day, and thanks for reminding me of my roots.
I did not know it was
89.
Flag Day today. So,
I didn't either.
well, great. Well, we're about out of time. We're a little bit over, and that's okay. Andy, Deanna, thank you so much for and B&D for coming on the show. Loved hearing your story. I love what you guys are doing, not just because you are clients of mine. By the way, which chemical do you use? Oh, yeah, Easy Way. That's
Easy
right.
Way.
Thank you.
Thank
But
you.
it is a great story, and I love that it's a shop in rural Michigan, in a rural area going, there are no constraints. When I think of B&D is you, even through COVID, you're going, yeah, COVID was tough, but it wasn't unbearable. You guys kept going of, adjusting and getting customers. You're always on the hunt for new customers and sales. You're watching your top line, but always keeping an eye on the bottom line, which is the most important. And thank you for what you do for the industry. It's a great story of 3 generations, and who knows, Andy? I know
Right.
family and stuff coming. Who knows? So when
Who
we're
knows?
on,
Right.
you guys can do a pod. You and your kids can do a podcast
Right.
and remember us. So
Yeah.
thank you very much to everybody who's watching. If you have any questions, comments, man, email us. You can get a hold of Richard at any times at rgreaves@gmail.com. You can reach out to me, email us, and make sure, if you haven't already, share this, like it, subscribe it, and you can see every other podcast we've ever done on YouTube. We're also on Spotify and things like that. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great Flag Day, and enjoy your weekend. Guys, don't leave us as we're leaving the show. So bye-bye, and thanks a lot.
Thank you.